Good morning, everyone. I'm Reema, Junior Research Fellow at CIBioD. So it's my pleasure to welcome our speaker, Dr. Jagdish Chaturvedi, our Principal Investigator, Dr. Varinder, our Co-Principal Investigator, Dr. HiiiH and Dr. Sakshi, our coordinators from the Brain Trust Institutes, and all the participants who are joining today with this session. So our topic of the session is inventing medical devices in India. So before we start the session, I would like to add this introduction about our center, CIBioD. Center for Innovation and Biodesign is the platform basically funded by the ICMR, and it is situated in PGM at Chandigarh. So its aim is to promote the innovation and entrepreneurship in the medical devices by involving multiple pharma technology institutes. So if I can talk about the objectives of CIBioD, it provides innovation in medical devices and which includes other branches of the healthcare. It provides automated solutions to various health-related problems, provide manpower training, and also act as a consultancy center, which provides solutions to various hospitals as well as the medical areas. Now, short-term attachment program. As we all know that this is basically for the students who want to improve their skills and also want to participate in the problems related to the medical devices. So in this program, we basically involve various brainstorming sessions, theme-based quiz, and mini competitions. And the outcome of this program is you can learn about innovation, incubation, prototyping, clinical validation, and commercialization also. And you will get the primary area of learning, personal interaction with the expert of the medtech industries, and also you will get the opportunity to work on the prototypes. Now I would like to invite Dr. Rajat to please take over the session.
Hello everyone, good morning. We will shortly begin with the guest speaker session, but first a few notes on the speaker. Your guest speaker is an ENT surgeon by profession, as well as a medical device innovator, author, actor, and stand-up comedian by passion. He trained at St. John's Medical College and Hospital, Bangalore, and is a Stanford India Biodesign Fellow. He also holds an MBA degree in entrepreneurship and hospital management from NIBM. He is a sinus specialist and currently visiting consultant in ENT surgery at Fortis Hospital, Bangalore. He is the founder and director of HiiiH, which is Healthcare Innovations for Indian Healthcare, and has co-invented and developed 18 affordable medical devices addressing unmet needs in Indian healthcare, many of which have been taken over by indigenous companies, and some other have formed startups. He was recognized as 35 Innovators Under 35 by MIT Technology Review 2016, sorry. And he also has a YouTube channel by his name, where he has some comedy reels and clips. You can check them out. And he also has delivered some TEDx talks. He has authored a best-selling book called Inventing Medical Devices, A Perspective from India, as well as other books, The Benefits of Failing Successfully, and 1 year of stand-up comedy. Apart from this, he also has many scientific publications, and he acted in a web series called Starting Troubles, which is India's first medical comedy based on true events. You can find more information about him online. We will share the links later. Thank you. I'd like to welcome Dr. Jagdish Chaturvedi now.
Right. Thank you so much for the kind introduction. I hope you can hear me well. Can you hear me well?
Yes, sir.
Great. And the participants, I just wanted to understand, is it possible for the participants to unmute themselves and ask a question, or is that disabled?
Yes, sir. We provide rights to the students as well, so they can interact with you.
Okay, great. Hi, everyone, and thank you for having me here again. I am basically here to do an interactive session. Like I mentioned, it's a Q&A. But I will want to talk about some of the important what I would say, see, you're going to learn about innovations and theoretical aspects from everywhere, but practical aspects is what I think nobody's going to tell you. So I'm going to be very honest with you to tell you that if you're going to start off to invent something or create something, what are the 5 things that you should keep in mind? And that's basically what I was hoping to cover. But out of those 5 things, the first thing that I learned about before doing anything, not only about innovations or anything, is about understanding what is required. So like for today's talk, I can't really assume that कि मैं एक topic लेके आया हूँ and this is what you want to know, and I just share that with you without even understanding will you even benefit from it or not. So the first thing is always to understand what the market needs, what the audience needs, what is it that people want before providing it. So since that is the crux of anything, I want to understand from you guys today, what is it that you want from this talk, or what do you want from me? And I would love to hear your questions. You can also put it in the chat window, but since I'm doing this from my phone, I'll have to keep toggling the screen so that you could just unmute yourselves and ask me a question. Basically, I want to hear at least from 5 or 6 of you in terms of what is it that you want from this session. And me, I have an hour to spend with you, and we could talk about anything, but I just don't want to present something or say something that by just assuming that you will benefit from it. So what is it that you are expecting from this session?
Students, please interact with sir.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, morning.
Sir, I want to know about something new which will help us in our invention.
Something new which will help us in our invention. Okay, so you want to know something new. What is it that you're trying to invent? Are you all interested in healthcare innovations or anything?
So particularly about me, I am interested in healthcare innovation.
Okay. So something new about innovations is what you want to know. Great. And anybody else, what is it that you want to know from this session?
Hello, good morning,
Yeah.
sir.
Morning.
Sir, I'm Bhavika, and my question is that what is our role in it?
Role in innovations.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so Bhavika, what is your background?
Sir, my background is I'm pursuing BSc MLT, Medical Lab
Okay.
Technology.
Okay, so you want to understand what is your role when it comes to innovations. Okay, great.
Yes.
Anybody else? What do you want to learn from today?
Students, if you have any doubt related to the topic like inventing medical devices in India, so any query then you can ask sir. Please
Yeah, no, I'm at the moment I'm not looking at queries. I'm just looking at what is it that you understand from me. You're going to spend 1 hour, so I just want to understand. Somebody is writing some comments over here. Let me just quickly check. So innovation in the field of environment, someone wants to know possible way of creating cost-effective devices regarding healthcare devices and also long-lasting, affordable to anyone. You want to know how to develop those devices. So far, I have a few people who've shared what they want from this session. Someone wants to know something new about innovations. Bhavika wants to know what is our role when it comes to innovations. Someone wants to know about innovations in an environment and how to make affordable medical devices. But what else? The other people, what you're going to spend 1 hour over here. You've logged on and you've come to here. So I'm hoping that you have some something that you would like to achieve out of this, right? So it's not about doubts or questions. I've not even spoken anything yet, but you might be having some expectations. I want to understand what your expectations are. What is it that you want to learn at the end of this 1 hour? What is it that you want to go away with? If you have an idea, how can we implement it? Please. Okay. All right. Let me take one more. What is the most important demand at this point of time? Oh, like generally. Okay. All right, guys. So I get a good sense. Some of you want to know what's new in inventions. What is our role in inventions? How do you, if you have an idea, how do you implement it? How do you make it cost effective? How do you understand demand? But before I go into answering these questions, can someone tell that wasn't it awkward when I was asking you what do you expect, and there was so much of silence, and slowly one to people were telling, "Aisa kyun hua?" Like, what do you think about that? Like, why do you think that happens? It's very classical of every human behavior, and this is one of the reasons why it's always hard to sell a medical product or any product for that matter, because users usually don't because users usually don't know what they want. And somebody asked, how do you know what is the most important demand? To be very honest, most of the time there is not much demand. There's demand only in a particular situation, and if you're not in that situation, and then you don't have a solution there is no demand. Like, for example, if you go to any doctor and say, sir, मेरे पास बहुत बढ़िया idea है, हम इसको ऐसे बनाएंगे, ये करेंगे, आप लोगे क्या? हाँ बहुत बढ़िया, बहुत बढ़िया. They all say good things, but when you come to sell it, nobody's going to buy it, or very few people are going to buy it, or they'll buy it at a different cost price or a situation. So this is something very important, because we are all so lost in our lives that many times most of the things that we do, we don't have many reasons or purpose to do it. We just do it because we've been, it's part of a routine. And like, even to attend a session with me, you don't really have, many of you don't even have a clear idea कि हम इस session से लेंगे भी क्या. Like, we just come to hear whatever that it is that you have to say. And this is a very good reflection of everywhere for anything. We have developed so many devices. I've seen a lot of people develop devices. When they try to sell it, they rethink whether there is even any demand for it or not. But what is the way to understand what people want is first to ask them, and second is to then understand, whether, like, for example, if I have to understand of these sessions, I would like to see, how interactions have been in other sessions, other, people asking questions. What is it that they really ask about? What kind of topics is the most interaction? That's how you'll do your validation and research of demand, and then you'll be able to, give talks where people will have more value. But before I answer your questions, I think there are 4 important things that I want to say before anyone starts off inventing. And I assume that all of you want to invent something or the other in healthcare?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I can assume that most of you want to invent something in healthcare. All right. So the one thing that I learned the hard way is that there is no idea which is a bad idea. अभी जैसे किसी ने demand के बारे में पूछा, no, like, should I develop something which has a demand? Even if you develop something which does not have a demand, you can make it successful. This is the hard truth, that any idea, however good or bad it is, has a market and has a potential, to do something in the society. I can give you an example. Have you guys heard of this app called Yo? Yo के बारे में सुना है?
No, sir.
No. Yo was developed, in the San Francisco Bay Area about 10 years ago. And you know what this app Yo does? It basically sends to all your contacts Yo. Those people receive Yo, and there's a big button called Yo where they press it and it sends back Yo. That's all that app does. Yo do, YOLO. Nothing else. I don't know who thought of that. Yo banate hain apun log, it's an app. Apne contacts को let's send Yo, they will send Yo back. Amazing. $10 million valuation, raised 2 rounds of funds, exited bought out by another company. I think got a Series A, and Yo, you can make anything and it will be more useful than Yo. But Yo had a $10 million valuation. Now, what am I trying to say? So anything you can make can be made successful or can reach millions of people. But what we don't understand is what is the cost at which it will reach. So the founders of Yo, to make Yo popular, basically spent $1 per user acquisition until they got to first million users. So basically the founders spent $1 million to get more than 1 million users. Once they got 1 million plus users, and when they went to fundraise, they said, yeah, Amara Yo app is so popular, it is so trending, we have million plus users who use it. So investors basically like the database, they like the volumes, they like the potential to scale and grow. So then they were able to raise funds because there was a big user base. So the cost for Yo to become a $10 million valuation was at least $1 million, which is how much is $1 million in Indian rupees? Does anyone know? Right now, what's the exchange with the dollar going up? We're close to about 7.5 or 8 crores, right? So if that is the amount of money that is required to get an app called Yo to that level, many of us will not be able to afford something like that. And you can think of anything like that. See, any brand that you've thought of or that comes to your mind has spent crores and crores of rupees to do that. Has any of you ever purchased a ladder? Have you gone to a shop and purchased a ladder? Or have you used a ladder in your life? Or
Yes,
do you
sir.
have a
Yes, sir.
do you have a great demand for a ladder? Do you use a ladder every day?
Yes, sir.
Name one brand which sells a ladder. How many of you are thinking Bhatla aluminum ladder? Right? So even there are things which you probably may not be using it every day, but there are brands that project themselves, spend crores of rupees so that you can know about it and then use it whenever you are buying it. In healthcare innovations, it is not feasible by most people, especially because innovators are not wealthy people. They are usually from modest backgrounds, especially in India, and people do not have that kind of crores of rupees to take their ideas forward. Like I can tell you, if you have even 50 lakh rupees to your disposal, you can just take any idea and you can bring it to a clinical trial ready level. That's all you need to bring that product to that level. And once you get to that level and you show some results, you'll get more funding, and then you will be able to take your product forward. But how many of us have access to that kind of funds, 50 lakhs, 1 crore, to work on our ideas? It's not possible. And that's why we follow a process, because the only thing that a process does is that process makes it cost, time, and resource effective. And it ensures that there are more people who can be a part of the journey to take that idea forward. Otherwise, if you have 50 lakhs to 1 crore, you don't need anyone. You take your idea, you hire a team, you ask them to develop it, and you commercialize it. Khatam. And then the market, you keep pushing it, keep pushing the market, keep pushing the market. slowly there will be a market that will accept it, and then you will find a place in the market, and then you will grow. But that is not a sustainable model. It's a very cost ineffective model, and the sustainability will only rely on how much funds you keep pumping it in. That's why eventually you had to shut down. It got licensed out, but you don't hear about it today. It does not exist anymore, because as the investors or the founders stopped funding it, it stopped having its relevance. And that's what also happens, to products that start off purely based on push, and there is no pull. Pull ke liye, you have to follow at least some process to validate ki haan pull hai, and how much pull, where is the pull, what kind of, all of that validation is what processes like the biodesign does. I'm not saying that you should only follow the biodesign process. Actually, if you look for healthcare innovation process, you'll find many processes out there. Different people. There's a Johns Hopkins model. There is, modified innovation healthcare model that we follow here in India. There's biodesign from the US. There also Singapore has some very interesting innovation models. There is reverse engineering, reverse marketing, all kinds of strategies are there. But there is one thing common in each process. Can someone tell me what does a process do that helps you become cost effective, resource effective? Like, why follow process? So what do you think, in your opinion, that that a process does that a non-process does not? Like, if I have an idea and I just pick any idea and I develop it, how is that different from me following a process?
So I am not sure, but is it
Sorry?
is it grouping the members who are interested in that project, so they group together with different
Okay,
experts?
you're saying that when you follow a process, you get more people. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. What else do you think a process does? Like, why should we follow any process?
To reach a certain output we want.
Yeah, but see, you can always hire people, you can always fund till you get a particular output. So what is the thing that the process brings?
Ma'am, so better decisions.
Better decisions. How are they better decisions through a
So
process?
before launching our idea in the market, we can actually decide if we follow step by step the process.
Okay. Yeah. So you're saying better decisions because of a step-by-step approach. Somebody else is also trying to say something at the same time?
So it brings a particular manner to our work.
Manner. Okay. Okay. See, what a process basically does is it gives you information about your path versus if you go blindly, and you will still follow. I mean, that can also be a process that मैं नई नई चीज try करूंगा. If it doesn't work, I will change it. That hit and try approach can take a long time, lot of money wasted, and people will after some time, may continue to work, not continue to work, because they're like too much back and forth. पहले ये कर रहे हैं, फिर वो नहीं चल रहा, फिर ये कर रहे हैं, वो नहीं चल रहा. It's very haphazard and not very time effective in healthcare, because in healthcare जितना आप ज़्यादा time लगाते हो, that much time there is a burden of that problem. So it's ethical for you to also solve it quickly. But when you follow a process, the most important thing that the process does is it gives you the right expectation of the journey. Most of the people think, yeah, if I just raise funds, that's it. I'll be able to solve and develop this product. But not true. What will you do with the funds? How will you use it? What is the next step that you need to do? That is where people don't know, and they keep doing this hit and try. They lose all that money. And they get a lot of learnings, but they're not able to take that product out. But a process, when you already know the roadmap, okay, so first I need to do this, then I need to do this. You're trying, if you were going naturally, you would not do it because you're like, directly I can just make the product. But the process makes you do things so that you understand each and every step, you understand your expectations. And most importantly, whenever you're going out of track, it tells you that you're going out of track because there are these process parameters. And last and the most important thing of a process is that it removes bias. And we are very biased as human beings. Like for everything, हमारे पास opinion आ जाता है, हम लोग judge करने लगते हैं, immediately. It's a very human nature. Like the moment you see a problem, you're like, this is the way it should be solved. Okay. Some people will say, yeah, we should have better nurses to train, or we should have better doctors with training. Some people will say, no, yeah, let's change the system only, where you have a different program level solution. Some people say, no, let's make a device. Everybody has a different opinion, but what a process does is it removes that bias from you, and it shows you what is required in the nature. Somebody said, how do you invent for an environment? It gives you that understanding of that environment. The requirement kya hai, and what is it that we need to solve? And that's what a process does most importantly. So when you follow a process like biodesign, you don't really need to have 50 lakhs or a crore or that amount of money. What you need is that you need to be able to have some funds to kickstart. And then when you follow the process, it guides you in a way where you can get more team members, more funds, and then you can take it forward. So I followed this process over 30 times now. And there are about, I think, 20 products that I've developed. 10 are in the market. And 10 have failed. And that also happens because when you follow a process, it tells you where it is not going to work. And sometimes you have to stop the project, or you will have to change your paths or reinvent it. But at the same time, it also gets you all the way till the patient so that you can show impact. So a process, so though any idea can be developed, to commercialization, what it takes is what matters. And if you want that whole process to be cost effective, time effective, resource effective, you need to follow a particular process. The second thing that I've learned, before you invent is that, putting in your own money into your own idea. Like I have so many startups and founders that reach out to me almost on a daily basis. We have a great idea. Please put in some money, or please help us get some funding. And most of the time, these founders have not even put in a few thousand rupees into their own idea. Now you tell me one thing. If you are going to invest, let's say you are an investor and you want to invest in someone, will you invest in somebody's idea where they're saying the idea is great, potential is great, but they themselves don't believe in it enough कि उन्होंने कुछ पैसा नहीं डाला? And अगर किसी के पास बिल्कुल पैसा नहीं है, then they should worry more about their survival rather than developing something. Would you then invest in a person who has absolutely no reserves to sustain? So it's a very different thing, because when जब आप invent कर रहे हो तो all you see is your need. Yeah, I need the funds, I need the resources, I need the lab, I need the machines, and I need more money for it. But when it comes to you putting your own money inside it, it is not as easy. So आपके लिए easy नहीं है, तो how can you expect other people to put in money? And that comes with actually a very false notion कि जिसके पास पैसा है, even if they give, they have enough, so they are going to be easy with giving funds. Trust me, I have raised funds from all kinds of people and organizations, and I've seen that people who have access to a lot of funds are actually much more difficult to raise money with, rather than going to a friends and family and a high net worth individual who does not have that much funds, but they will put in money more easily compared to people who have access to a lot of funds. The reason is that people who have access to a lot of funds sit with a lot more responsibility to use that money in a way that is effective, because they know that they can make groundbreaking change. So they are usually more picky. They're usually doing more stringent due diligence. They are basically the ones very, very worried about that this money has to go into the right place. Otherwise, we could have given it to someone or some team that could have made a difference. And, so they will not be careless with their funds, okay, because of that. But somebody who has just, they have another 5-10 lakhs or 20 lakhs extra, they will connect with the individual and they will still give that money in good faith or trust, or, based on your connection or relationship. And they'll be like, okay, this is at least something that I can do to get them to the next level. So their onus of responsibility is not very high, because they know the funds are not very strong, but they know that the funds are enough to get someone to the next level. So if you think that, oh, this organization has so much funds, they're giving this many grants, or this VC fund is sitting on $10 million, they will easily give, unka kya jayega agar 1 million kam ho jayega. That's really not the way. The evaluation is always going to be that the founders themselves, jo inventors hain, how much have they put money. And in India, even though we have a very healthy and a very strong VC network, or very strong funding network, both from the government side as well as from the private side, we still live with the label ki yaar medtech ya healthcare funding scene is very bad because nobody invests. The pure reason why nobody invests is because the kind of inventors that go and the startups that go are only expecting funds but not expecting to put any money on their own. And trust me, if you put in even something as much as 2 to 5 lakhs from your own money, and you raise some money from your friends and family, you will get funds from a lot more people, lot more organizations, because you have bought credibility at that point of time. People who know you from birth, your friends, your family, they only don't trust you with your own idea. So how will a stranger ever invest in you? And that's something very, very practical to think about. Whenever you have your idea and you are trying to send the right message so that you can scale or grow, you have to tick the most important boxes. First is to select a process that you want to follow. And the second is that put your money where your idea is. अगर आप बोलते हो कि मेरे पास 50,000 1 लाख भी नहीं है, and आपके friends और family के पास भी नहीं है, then it's going to be a big struggle even for anybody else to fund, because they're like the survival is itself low resources. So how are you going to do that, right? And you can approach a lot of grant funding organizations. Also now look at how much investors have put in, how much the founders have put in themselves. And now even grant organizations take equity. So this is going to be a common thinking, because a lot of people have burned their money in people who say they're inventors but don't take any risk. Can someone tell me what is the definition of the word entrepreneur? We keep hearing entrepreneur everywhere. Does someone know what the definition of the word entrepreneur is?
A person who sets up a business.
A person who sells a business.
Sets up a business.
A person who sets up a business is okay. Somebody who starts a business is an entrepreneur. Okay. Anybody else has another understanding of the word entrepreneur?
Sir, it is also involved with the risk involved in that setting up of that business.
Okay, risk involved in that. Okay, so the definition of an entrepreneur is a person who starts a business by putting in money with the hope that that money will increase. There will be profit and there will be sustainability. So one of the things that is happening nowadays is with the Shark Tank and all of these things, we have created another entity of people called wantrepreneurs. Wantrepreneurs are people who want to be entrepreneurs, but they're truly not entrepreneurs, because honestly, an entrepreneur will constantly progress, in the field, because they keep putting in their money. They'll figure out some funds, they'll figure out some resources, they'll figure out ways. Innovation is not only in the technology, innovation is at every step on the way of how do you face every challenge and hurdle and move ahead. So an entrepreneur is always by definition constantly moving ahead, but there may be struggles, and the entrepreneur will basically get that help to make those struggles lesser. But a wantrepreneur is the one who's just wanting to be an entrepreneur because they see the cool side of it, or they see the profitable side of it. But as a nature, they're extremely risk aversive. And if you are risk aversive, like you're not willing to risk your own money, you're not able to risk with your own time and resources, or your job selections, or your career pathway, it is not going to be sustainable for you. And then some entrepreneurs become what I call entrepreneurs, who just keep haunting everyone. Yeah, हमें guide कर दो, हमें बता दो कैसे करना है. I don't know how to do it, and keep finding excuses. And anything you tell them, they basically say, "Nee, this is not working, that is not working. I'm lost. How do I struggle?" So it's very important that when you're part of programs like these, that you also understand who you are internally. Are you truly an entrepreneur? Are you a entrepreneur, or are you a entrepreneur? And then sometimes realizing that itself will help you know where your role is, or how, like somebody asked, what is our role in the invention? So are you going to lead it from the front, or are you going to be someone who's going to be involved in the part of the process? If you think that, okay, you are extremely risk aversive with money, you're extremely risk aversive with your career trajectory, you're very risk aversive with the time you spend. Entrepreneurship, leading it as a founder, running a startup, taking a technology forward is probably going to be a very anxiety provoking activity for you, and may be hard to sustain that way. So then you must look at probably ways where you either become an employee with a small group of startups, or larger medtech companies or healthcare companies, or you work as a contract basis, where your funds you get and you deliver the job. But it's important to have that clarity to make this ecosystem more mature. The reason why we say Indian medtech ecosystem is a bit immature is because there is a lot of gudmud of people who claim to be something but they're not, and they also don't know. So that is an important aspect. So you'll have to be able to, if you get out of this program and you ever want to develop something, take an idea all the way forward, then you will need to put in some money of your own and some money from your friends and family, not because it is a requirement from the investors, because it is an honest testimony to your own effort of that idea, that you have to back it and your friends and family back it. And if you're able to do that, you won't really need funds till proof of concept level, because you'll be able to fund that on your own, and then you will have something to showcase, and you will have a good story to tell, that this is me, this is my team, we put in this much money, we have a working product, proof of concept, and we want to go to the next level and we need to raise funds. You will find much more valuable people who will help you, grant organizations, private investors who will want to take you forward because you have done your part to kickstart. But if you don't do that and just seek funds, it's going to be a very tough journey full of rejections. And if you just get lucky, you might get a grant here and there. But beyond that, it's still going to be very difficult. So the second learning that I wanted to share is that put in your own funds, and support your own idea first before you ask funds from other people. The third thing that I learned the hard way is that the way we invent right now is it's a very emotional way of inventing. हमको problem दिखती है, idea हो गया. It's like falling in love. प्यार हो जाता है, वैसे idea हो जाता है. And then once that idea is formed, we just get locked कि हमें यही बनाना है. And if somebody says, "नहीं sir, ये idea हमने वहाँ देखा है, or we have seen this product somewhere else," it becomes like that villain of the movie taking you away from your love, and then you just become a little more strongly attached कि नहीं यही बनाना है. And what that does is that interestingly, it changes the the hierarchy of the way things work. When I went to Stanford Biodesign, this is the main thing that they do, or why they're able to successfully develop many products, is because they change this order. They change the order of creating a team first, and then they come up with the idea. Normally, we come up with the idea first, we are locked with the idea, and then we try to create a team around it. When we do this way, where we come up with an idea first and try to create a team, like I had this problem with my first idea. So my first idea was in the rural areas as a doctor. I wanted to make a small, camera-based device which can look inside the ear, nose, and throat, endoscopy way. And I thought that is the only way that problem is going to be solved. So now I know, okay, ये मुझे बनाना है. So I used to go to a mechanical engineer and say, please मेरे लिए ये बना दो. Or I used to go to a design team and say, please be a part of my team and make it. And they would do it, but they would do it because it is Jagdish's idea. This is Jagdish's idea. He has this great idea, and I'm going to develop it, and I will get something from it. I might get some equity, I might get some shares, I might get some money, or I might get, they used to send invoices, they used to send that. If they don't do that, then they will not pick my calls, and that used to happen. There's only so much someone can do as a friend or as a favor. But after a point of time, it is them doing their other job and still helping you, right? So there is always that hierarchy, that Jagdish ka idea hai, and we are helping, you know. And that is not a right way to start any team, because team by definition is togetherness. Team is, almost equal ownership, equal, liabilities, equal, benefits going forward, and equal effort. But if one person has a superiority because the idea was generated from that person, and now we're trying to create a team, very, very hard. And you'll find so many of these solo entrepreneurs in India who have that idea, and they're dhadar ki thokar, and they're going, I'm not able to find team. Somebody become a team member with me. Somebody help me develop this. Somebody give me access to this. And people are helping here and there, but they're not sustaining because there is that level, they don't have that equal benefit and ownership. So what the biodesign process does is they create the team first, and then they come up with an idea, which is not intuitive. Like, how do you know कि team banane ke baad idea banega hi banega, or what if different team members want to work on different things? It's not easy. So the process that they follow or apply is that they first get a team of like-minded people who are interested in a particular area. Like, you may be interested in a particular healthcare area, maybe pediatrics, maybe maternal child healthcare, maybe stroke rehabilitation, maybe cardiac problems. So what they do is you first identify your area of interest. Now, you may want to make something very specific in that heart area, but don't use that to get the team. Get the area, like, try to talk to your engineer friend or designer friend or a doctor friend saying that, I want to do something for cardiac healthcare. Are you interested to form a team so that we can understand what are the problems in the cardiac healthcare space? That's how the team creation first happens. Normally, you need to at least have 2-3 cross-disciplinary people, like an engineer, a designer, a doctor, or maybe a business person. And then all of you can evaluate the cardiac space by talking to cardiologists, by visiting their hospitals, by spending few weeks observing people who come with heart attacks, people who come with arrhythmias, people who come with emergencies, people who come with all kinds of, cardiac transplant, whatever it is. You observe the entire gamut, and then together you find out, yeah, isme se what is it that we think we should work on, and then come up with an idea of what you want to do to solve that particular problem. When you do that, then all the team members are equal inventors. All the team members bring in different skill sets towards the development. And most importantly, the more number of team members you have, generally ideal is 2 to 4, not more than that, then it becomes complicated. But if you have 2, 3, or 4 members, and each one is able to get some funds from themselves and their friends and family around, we have seen startups not dilute equity all the way up to clinical trials. And they're able to get to very good stage, good valuation, and then raise much better funds later on. You must be seeing in the news a lot of these companies, getting 48 million, 50 million, 100 million, so much of funding. All of these people started off with their own funds, with the team funds. They had their teams in place, a lot of equal ownership, and then moved ahead. And that's why now they're able to grow to 100 size members. There are hundreds of people, startups are having 100 employees, 200 employees, 500 employees, multiple cities, they have offices, and all of that has come because, they have followed some of these processes. And if you go back to their history, you'll find that 2 or 3 people came together and then developed the whole thing together, rather than, one person having the idea and then getting other people to join them. Though that happens sometimes in friends or in people you have met in the circuit, but it's not very sustainable or predictable. Key, if you have an idea, you will always find someone who will be able to, give you that kind of a thing. So, biodesign process, if you are looking at a healthcare space, most importantly, try to see that you have connections with some like-minded people and try to form the idea together, and then create a team. And that's how I've been able to invent. See, I'm a doctor, I still practice today, but I've been part of at least close to about 11 startups. But how is that working? That's working because every time we had a team that worked on an idea, there was an engineer, designer, and a doctor or a business person a part of it. Then 2 people form a company, and the other 2 people, who provide strategic access. Like, I am a doctor, so I provide strategic access to every startup because I float between the healthcare space and the solution space, which is very important. Suppose if I leave the healthcare space and only remain inside the technology space, then I am losing out a very important access because What I bring to the table is a lot of validation, a lot of clinical trials, clinical studies, and then the commercialization and sales amongst the medical fraternity. So whereas an engineer or a designer may not be able to bring that because they are the technology guys, but a business person may still be able to bring that. So we usually find a good combination of who runs the company and who brings strategic value. And I usually become, one of the clinical directors with some amount of shareholding and some amount of contract funding, and able to, help develop the product with good clinical validation all the way forward. And that way could work with multiple startups, multiple products, and then bring the products, out to the market. So that kind of a team formation and that kind of strategic inputs is what takes, it forward. And the last thing that, I'd like to share that I've learned before you go is that, people feel very insecure about this intellectual property business. They think that like how if we have an idea, how do we get more people? Then should I share the idea with them, or shall I file a patent first? What if somebody steals and copies my idea? Well, in medtech, though, I think, see, copying of ideas and replication happens in many domains. Music industry, it happens very quickly. A tune or song is, copied. Stories are copied. In the app world, you can quickly code over a matter of a few days, and you can copy a feature. Medical devices to copy is not a very easy affair. If somebody has to copy a medical device, that means you have to spend at least a good 50 lakhs to a crore upwards, create team and do the whole thing to replicate that, or they have to have an access to a manufacturing plant and create the mold and all of that and then manufacture. So if somebody is copying after putting so much money, better to join them, or be a part of their team. It's not very easy for people to copy and scale, and generally somebody's putting so much money, they want their ownership in it, so they usually do not copy. Maybe very, very simple products, even if they copy, India has a very huge market. And generally the trend is that for any successful product or brand, you will always have one or two healthy competitors. So being the only one in the space is not necessarily a good thing. Like, for example, if you have Uber, you also have Ola, or taxi for sure. Or if you have Byju's, you have Unacademy as well. If you have Grofers, you have Big Basket. If you take anything, any company, if you have Amazon, you have Alibaba, or you have Flipkart, then Myntra, Jabong, then they keep eating each other up and buying each other out until one or two or three players largely remain at the top. This is how every market grows. So if you are the only one, or you want to be the only one who's doing something for a 1.3 billion market, a lot of people along the way are going to question, why are they the only one? Why nobody else has validated the same thing and is trying to compete? So when you have one or two healthy competitors working on very similar things, you share a lot of the marketing costs because the idea is being marketed. Like, for example, if I want to now make a app-based taxi service, I just say I'm like another Ola or Uber. People understand it, right? But when it came out for the first time, nobody could understand that, this happens, or food being delivered at your doorstep has 2 or 3 big players. So similarly, in medical devices, you'll find, okay, if there's a CT scan machine, there are 2 or 3 good CT scan machines. GE also makes, Philips also makes, Siemens also makes, so similarly, each one has some feature differentiators. But if you take most well-accepted medical technologies, you'll not have just one single manufacturer or developer. You will have 2 or 3 players doing very similar things with some slight differentiators. So this whole concept of being very insecure about your idea, about your patent, about things being copied, about another competitor coming, I think is a bit overrated. It is important to file a patent. And the reason why you need to file the patent is to get priority of your date, to get your names as inventors in a legal document, and all of that. But if somebody copies down the road, there's not much that you can do. Even if you do about it, it'll be an expensive legal thing, and it takes a long time, and the market by that time would have already been used. But it's up to you whether you want to infringe or not infringe, or or stop someone. But what's important is to file the patent so that you are associated with that idea on priority. But after that, I think it's really up to developing that particular product and going. License trading is not a very mature market in India, especially for medical devices, because I'm sure all of you can easily look at the existing patents that are filed. You can buy the license of that, get the ownership of it, and also develop a technology and take it forward. But you will not want to do that. You want to make something from scratch, which is your own. Okay. And this is a very common, another kind of a mindset that, we as human beings have, is that, we want to do something which is our own and, take it forward. But nobody's stopping you from looking at some existing solutions out there, which is only able to, reach a small market. But you're like, no, I can also bring it in my own hospital or my state, and I can scale it by buying the license out. The buying and selling of licenses in India is not really very mature. But if you go abroad to European areas and American areas, the West, the trading of licenses is a very strong thing. But people, before they enter the US soil, they trade the license, they buy the license of it, and then they commercialize. And that's a much more mature market. That's why the patents have a turnaround cycle of 6 months to 1 year. Like I have about 3 US patents. We all got it within 6 to 9 months. Indian patents can range between 1-2 years also. Sometimes it can take 8 to 10 years also, depending upon what kind of scientific area you are at, with the patent. So don't get so worried about, this intellectual property thing. It's important to file it, and it's important to, follow all the compliances related to legal and regulatory. But don't get so worried about, being very overprotective about your idea, not sharing, not collaborating, and all of that once you've filed the patent. So guys, I leave you with this. No idea is a bad idea. Invest your own money in your own idea. Create a team first before you come up with the idea, so that you have the trajectory of taking your idea forward. Don't get so worried about people copying your idea, and understand what the market requires. These are the 5 things that I learned and I share, so that you can think about this in a more realistic way as you move forward, while you also understand whether are you an entrepreneur, or are you a entrepreneur, or are you going to be a entrepreneur. So with that, guys, if you have any questions before we end the session, the room is open for Q&A. Yeah, so Rudraksh is having a question. Yeah, go ahead, Rudraksh.
Good morning, sir. I am Rudraksh Monga, currently pursuing BPT Physiotherapy. So my question is, what is the exact timing between these milestones for patent, and what is the fund required for the patent?
Yeah, the fund required for the patent is about some 60,000 or 70,000. You can put it, no?
Okay, sir. And what is the exact time we how we'll know that we have to go for the patent now? This is the right time.
See, the moment, yeah. So there is something called as a provisional patent, where when you don't know what exactly you're working on, but you have a vague idea that, okay, this is kind of the concept approach I'm going to take. That is when you file a provisional. So when you file a provisional, it's a very broad patent application. It, like for example, if you're in physiotherapy and you figured out a way to immobilize a limb in some particular way, you may have 4 or 5 approaches to do it, but you include all of them. You don't, you're not yet locked on which particular idea detail you want to work on, but in the provisional, you will put all of that so that you get a priority. Because what happens is, whenever it converts into a final patent, you have 1 year time to convert the provisional patent into a final patent. And in that final patent, you will make the claims of that one particular approach, but you will still get the date of the patent filing based on the provisional. So whenever you feel that you have 2 or 3 similar ideas that is addressing the problem that you want to do, but you have not selected which one and exactly how, file a provisional, and then convert that provisional into a final patent. Once you go, 1 year down the road, where you start doing some more experiments and figuring out, okay, this is exactly how I want to solve it. This is the embodiments, this is the claims, and then your legal team or your lawyer will be able to convert that into a final patent. A provisional patent typically costs anywhere between 30 to 35,000 rupees, including a prior art search, where they look at the landscape of the patent. Depending upon different firms, it could be 20-30% up and down. And a final patent application typically takes anywhere between 60 to 80,000 rupees. So you file a provisional as soon as possible and convert it into a final patent within a year.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
Any other questions? Okay, if there are no other questions, then I'd like to thank everyone for the time, and I hope this was a fruitful session for you guys.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable time and resolving all the questions. And I'd also like to thank the students for attending and listening and pitching in with their interesting questions. And lastly, I'd also like to thank the team for making this session possible. Next, do you want to move?
Students, please stay for 15 minutes. Actually, we have a brainstorming session, and Ms. Aishwarya will handle it. So you can continue.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, everyone. Am I audible? Hello. So students, this would be a 10-minute session, 10 to 15-minute session in which you need to make yourself strong in the first step of idea. Since you had a question on how to work on the idea, how to go for a patent filing, let's see how can idea be a productive one. So there are two types of thinking one can come across. The one which you usually do is the convergent thinking, which you can see in the right side. And the one which I am going to tell you or propose you right now would be a divergent one. So what exactly is convergent thinking? Suppose if I ask you, I want to arrange a conference, what was the first thing you people will be telling? There should be a good speaker, it should be there in the conference hall, all the possible answers will come together, you'll form a process, and that will be very logical, that you call as a convergent thinking. Now, if I break all the steps into different components, so that different components will have divergent solution. For example, can you see this? This is a formation of a wall in which everyone knows that if you place the bricks in one order, it is going to form a wall which is there present everywhere. But what if it is the other way around? To take a more deeper dive into this, let's just understand it again. So suppose I am a physicist and there is someone in my group, since you people would be forming a group together from a biology background, how you both are going to contribute in one idea. So you can see this bird, which is very well known, kingfisher, and that is a train. So the relation in between them is that when the train makes a lot of noise, this is a Japanese train, Japanese bullet train. When initially the train used to make a lot of noise by passing through the tunnel because of the air resistance, the engineer had a group of people with him. They were nature observers. So what happened? What came into existence was the bullet train. So how it came? It came from a bird and its beak. So these are two different things, two different genera, two different fields, which are coming together to solve one problem. So you can see an example of this Indian innovation to make things affordable. Very well-known term which is being described here is called a jugaad. Can you see the first image in which one AC is used to cool 2 rooms? This is all about affordable healthcare. A policeman, then in between you can see the Jaipur shoes. It is the most famous prosthetic which is present in India. So this is how India can emerge. No other countries apart from India have this intelligence. You people might also be knowing this. And so if at all you understood those 3 points, I would like to take a 1-minute brainstorming session. You have to do nothing. You just have to see these components of the pen, and whatever comes into your mind, you have to type in the chat box. What can you do with a pen? For example, a convergent thinking will rise writing on a paper, right? What will a divergent thinking will lead to? So if I want to say that I can use to poke it to someone, I can use to tie my hair. So that comes under divergent thinking. So I would request everyone to please type in the chat box. You have time for 1 minute. Key what exactly is coming into your mind. So let's start. Time started. Can you zoom it? Okay, self-writing pen. Yeah, more. You can use other components also. Where can you use the ink of the pen, the ring of the pen? As a paper clip, very good. Next. You have only 1 minute, fast. For writing, yeah, for writing is convergent. Make sound from it, yeah, good. I'll make a mini missile. Nice, write something. Yeah, good. Wow. So people are so focused in typing right now. This what you are experiencing right now is brainstorming. So 30 seconds left. Where the circular, yeah? Can you?
The circular ring.
Okay. Painting. Play pen fight. Wow. Next.
Take it away.
Can use the circular ring to make a circle. Okay, very good. Play with spring for doodling. Very nice. What more? Spring हो गया, ink हो गया, और क्या क्या कर सकते हो? Can use circular art for the. Apart from the circular part, guys. Okay, time up. Yeah, so did you experience that in this whole time you were thinking so vigorously that there would be no other thoughts coming into your mind? So brainstorming is something that lasts for a very short time. You cannot give 10 minutes, 15 minutes, half an hour, 1 hour for brainstorming. You have to give 1 minute. So when we would be floating a Google form in which there would be problem statement, you have to choose the problem you are interested in. Does not necessarily mean that you have the expertise in that field. So when the people would be formed, when the group will be formed of different backgrounds, people can have a brainstorming session of 1 minute upon the problem statement given. Okay, and then kind of evaluate. Like there was a very good example of mini missile and all. That is all about divergent thinking. So I'll be requesting you people to please incorporate it in your teamwork. Next time you would be working on any solution. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, students, the problem statements and the Google form will be shared via group. So you can fill the form and we will get the registrations according to your problem statements. So thank you so much for giving your time. Have a nice day.
Thank you so much.